Season's greetings and salutations. I'm Matt.
Howdy, I'm Tim, and welcome to the Mr. Maple Show. We know you love Japanese maple, so we're bringing you more Japanese maple content today. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and sign up for our weekly emails on MrMaple.com. We add at least 10 new cool trees, mostly Japanese maples, every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You'll definitely want to check that out.
And if you like this kind of content, go pick one up on MrMaple.com. Currently, when this video is going out, we actually have Caperci Dwarf in stock. Today's topic is Acer Palmatum Caperci Dwarf.
If it's not in stock, if it's sold out when you go see this video, you can click on sold out, notify me, put your email in, and be notified when this tree becomes available the very next time.
Acer Palmatum Caperci Dwarf is an amazing small compact maple that leafs out with a ton of color in the early spring. Now, what sets this one apart from some of the other Kiyohimes and Murasaki Kiyohimes is that it has a little bit more of a soft red border and pinkish new growth. So this tree is going to have pinkish new growth, a soft red border to it, and then some really awesome yellow to almost red at sometimes fall color. So it goes through a ton of color changes. Midsummer, it can get a little bit green. That new growth is still going to have a flushing of bright pink to even bright pink border on each little leaf.
Now, Matt talked about the color part that sets it apart from other Hime types. The thing I love about this one is the shape. This one is truly a flat top. It'll typically get about 1 to 2 feet tall by about 6 foot wide in 10 years. So it's going to be very short and very wide. The one we have here is parked up against this wall here, so it can't get all the way to the other side. So this one may be, a half a foot to a foot taller than it typically would be in 10 years. But such a beautiful plant. We love Caperci Dwarf because it truly is unique and special, and it'll make a very short and very wide tree.
Now, we're here at Hillstone Arboretum, and as Tim was saying, we have this one up against the rock wall. We've created kind of a little bit more of a half moon tree with this one. So do be conscious when planting a dwarf that it's not going to reach its exact shape if you plant it where it's up against a structure. Japanese maples have a very non-invasive root system though, so we're never going to have to worry about this tree being a bother for these rock walls here. We are going to, however, create a smaller overall tree and a tree that's a little bit more one-sided by putting it up against this. Awesome plant with a really compact shape. Now, Caperci Dwarf has a very, very small leaf. It's one of the smallest leaves of all the Japanese maples. It fits in very well in that Hime category. And because of that, it's very popular for bonsai. So this is a great candidate for bonsai garden, a small container garden where you can allow it just to be that small little tabletop or even almost like a little mushroom top there on a pot. So it's an excellent candidate for that container garden if you don't want to get fully into bonsai. But the bonsai people love this one because it's very compact and dwarf with slightly different colors than your typical Kiyohime as well.
We only had a bed here that was about 4 foot wide. So we parked this thing back as far as we could and let it just half moon around. It makes a great tree to do that with. It's also a great tree to put underneath a windowsill because it's not going to grow up above the window. You'll notice here we've paired it with Twombly's Red Sentinel and a dwarf ginkgo. And the reason we've done that is the Twombly's Red Sentinel can fit in that same small space and give some good red color to contrast against the green here. And the ginkgo's yellow fall color will contrast very well when this one goes to the red in the fall. So it's a great companion plant to put up here in these foundation almost like plantings where you don't have a lot of space. You can tuck that in close to the back and really let this thing half moon around. Or if you give this thing a full 360, you can have that nice 6 foot rounded flat top that'll really make a specimen out in the landscape and garden.
Now, you often see us here at Mr. Maple talk about sizes, and we often give a time frame instead of saying at maturity. And that's because a grafted Japanese maple can outlive us all. The tree we're actually showing here was planted in a 10-gallon in this location over 10 years ago. So this tree's closer to 20 years old at this point, at least in that 15 to 20 year age range. So quite a big specimen already to be here in the landscape, making this one a true dwarf for sure. Now, Caperci Dwarf is going to work zones 5 through 9. You definitely want to give it some late day protection in zone 9. So give it some hot afternoon protection from that 3 p.m. to maybe even 1 p.m. in a zone 9 protection, and that's going to give it its best success rate. This is a true dwarf that's going to do excellent in your landscape. One of the things to be conscious of for sure is good drainage. We've actually got it here on a little bit of a hill, so it's not holding water around it. And it's one of those plants that once you get it out there, you kind of want to let it do its thing. They're a little bit harder to move because they have so much low growth. So you'd have to get a pretty big root ball to move one of these because they actually have so much branching down low. But that's what we love about them. They make that perfect little toadstool shape.
Now, I really like this plant because it is just so unique. The branches are very lateral, so they'll do that almost naturally. So if you're looking to do that in a bonsai, Caperci Dwarf is a great one to work with. Caperci Dwarf is also great in containers. But remember, when you're growing a Japanese maple container, make sure you've got good drainage. The biggest issue people always have with growing a Japanese maple is making sure that you don't put a dish underneath them and you don't overwater them. The next thing is making sure that, like this tree is good zones 5 through 9 in the ground. In a container, it's going to be 6 through 9. And if you're putting this out in the sun, it's going to need a lot more water in a container than it will in the ground. So always keep those things in mind. But this is a great container plant, and it's a great tree for bonsai as well, with that really unique flat top, very laterally branched habit. I think it's probably one of the most laterally branched Japanese maples that we do. They just grow perfectly horizontal, almost parallel with the ground.
I love that soft pink color. It's got a lot of character to it. It definitely gives you something diverse amongst the hime types. Put this out with your Murasaki Kiyohimes. If you're already a collector of the dwarf forms, you're going to want to have this Seiho and Murasaki Kiyohime for sure. This one has that more soft pink border for sure. It has a little bit more ruffled leaf, so it's going to give you a little bit something different, especially in that bonsai style setting. Just like the Kiyohimes and the Seihos, this one is fairly easy to air layer. We graft these for sure here at our nursery because it's the best way to get a landscape tree versus a container plant. So grafting is always the best way when going in the ground, but you can definitely turn these into some awesome bonsai. And I would love to see a very mature Caperci Dwarf done into a bonsai.
I like Caperci Dwarf because it stands out from the crowd. There are a lot of dwarf hime types, and this one is truly unique and different. When you have it out in the landscape and garden, you'll begin to notice all the different subtleties from the colors to the extremely laterally branched shape. This is a good tree that can do well in anybody's garden, and it's a tree you'll definitely enjoy.
Hey, all of our favorite things we always ask for: like, subscribe, share. As always, sign up for our 10 at 10s. I'll hit you with a new one. If you have a garden in front and you're looking for a gift for them, we do offer MrMaple gift cards. So definitely check out our gift cards there on our website. It's a great way to surprise a gardening friend with a Caperci Dwarf or another plant of their choosing. So our MrMaple gift cards go right to your email, and it's a great way to surprise a gardener with something fun.
Take care.
God bless.
And have a wonderful day.